You look at Herbie Farnworth, and he's, I think, the only centre in the game that can challenge Crichton for his mantle as the best centre in the game.
Debut in the finals, and they are going to be a hard team to face in week 1. Like, if they come into the 8th spot, the last thing you want to do is finish fourth.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Kennel NRL Podcast. We're here with the series where we preview all 17 NRL teams, and today we've landed on none other than the Redcliffe Dolphins. And yes, I know that they want to be called the Dolphins, but they're always going to be Redcliffe Dolphins, and so we're going to go with that. With me today, I have my new trusty co-host, Zatar, almost said Dibbo there, to help me go through the team. Dibbo is preoccupied with his Dragons tonight, so he couldn't make it. But I'm sure we'll make do with Zatar. But before all of that, can I just please ask you guys, be sure to subscribe to the channel if you're new here. We're getting, 90% of our views on these episodes from non-subscribers. They're watching a majority of the hours, but they're not subscribing. So if you are new to the channel, please be sure to give us a subscription, give us a like on the video, so on and so forth. Share it wide. And with that, I want to welcome Zatar. How you doing, brother?
Thanks for having me. I'd like to think I'm a nifty little extra. I can't fill Dibbo's shoes, but I think I do a job.
You're one of the hosts ever. Zatar, we want to talk about the Dolphins today. And I think, the Dolphins for me are now starting to get to the point where they've had 3 seasons in the NRL, 2 seasons under Wayne, 1 season under Kristian Woolf, who I think is a great coach. They've got a stacked team, both in the forwards and in the backs. But I feel like they sort of have fallen short a couple of years. Last year, they didn't make the 8, even though they were challenging for it. The year before, they lost that game to the Newcastle Knights. They could have made the 8. So for me, I think it's starting to get to that point where the Dolphins need to start showing their ability by making it to the top 8.
Rubbish side, if you ask me. Rubbish side, poor team, nothing going over there, no halfbacks, no backs. Obviously, it's all a joke. They are a stacked side. They do need to start making the finals, but I think if we look back at both those seasons, like their first season, started off real convincing win against the Roosters, I think it was.
And that was a mad.
And that took me away. I was like, these guys shouldn't have won the game, but they did. And then it fell away. It fell away for a few games. And the back half of the season, they decided to pick it up and they strung it all together and got knocked out in that last game when the Knights were on an incredible run.
You mean Ponga?
Ponga was on an incredible run. And last year it was more of the same. It had a slow start. I think it was a cyclone at the start of last year, and they ended up going 0-4 to start. And they found themselves in that exact same position at the back half of the season, needing to win, I think it was like their last 4 games to make it in, and they obviously didn't. I think this year could be different, though. All their players from last year now a bit more experienced. They did start with a very experienced forward pack when they first started, like a lot of
Melbourne rejects or Melbourne retirees.
They brought the systems with them. They brought the good attitude with them. The players played around them, and we're seeing a lot of young blood coming through as well these days.
I mean, you can't forget last year they had an almighty injury list.
100%.
They had a really, really big injury list. At one point they had, their whole forward pack injured, and so they were playing with some really young players. So we're going to keep that into account when sort of talking about injuries. A lot of people say last year talk about the Rabbitohs injury list, and they did have a big one, but the amount of injuries that the Dolphins had, I think, was considerable as well, which is why I'm a bit bullish on the Dolphins this year.
How bullish are you?
I think they'll make the 8.
You think they'll make the 8?
I think this year will be one of those years that we celebrate some historic events in rugby league, genuinely. And I think one of them is the Dolphins are going to make the 8. If you look at first and foremost, Thomas Flegler has made a successful...
That was really good to see.
Yeah, it was amazing. Really he's made a successful comeback to rugby league. He played in the trial.
Scored a try,
yeah.
Busting the line open off his first run. He did really well.
And you know what? For a guy that hasn't played for 2 years, he looked really fit. Really confident, and he wasn't sort of afraid to do the hard carries, and that fills you with confidence. But then, Tom Gilbert, their captain, was also injured for like 10, 12 rounds. Jack Bostock still yet to come back. They lost...
they lost Farnworth as well.
Farnworth, Felice Kovusi, they lost him as well. Cody Nikarima, towards the end of the year, they had a great combination there. Even Daniel Saifidi.
I'd say that was the sliding doors moment last year. Like, they were winning a string of games, so then when Cody Nikarima went down, I just felt like Katoa just had no one that
could help out. Yeah. Look, I agree. Their combination was amazing. And speaking of Katoa, one of the things that give me so much confidence in the Dolphins is that he's going to have another off season where not only has he played in the Pacific Championship against some of the best players in the game for Tonga, But then he's also had another offseason with his team. He's got his forward pack back. And mind you, like, this is a very, very intimidating forward pack. If you look at who's on the list for their forwards, Kurt Donahue, who I think had a great year last year. They've got Finifuiaki. They've got Thomas Flegler. They've got Tom Gilbert. Felice Govusi. They have Oren Kelly, who can play there at lock or at 9. They've got Morgan Knowles this year from England. They've got Francis Molo. They've got Max Plath, who I think is a fantastic player. Daniel Saifidi and Ray Stone.
Where would you put them in terms of forward pack compared to the rest of the...
Yeah,
right up there, right? Top 3?
I think top 3.
Yeah,
I
top
think,
3 forward pack.
I'm trying to think who else has such a stacked forward pack.
How about their backline as well? Top 3?
I think if Herbie Farnworth is back,
assume full health.
Full health, yeah, it's up there. Like if you look at Selwyn Cobbo, Herbie Farnworth, then you've got Jack Bostock, who I think had a breakout year last year. Jermaine Asako, incredible career so far.
Cobbo looking fit.
Who?
Cobbo
looking very fit. And then Hamiso at the back, I think they've got a great back line.
Or Hamiso into the centres and Trey Fuller into fullback.
Look, do you remember that try that Hammer scored? I think it was against the Sharks, so he ran literally the length of the field.
Yeah.
Look, I love Trey Fuller. I think he's a great player, and I feel sorry for him that he's behind Hammer, but I would have Hammer at fullback. I mean, he played fullback for the Maroons in Game 3 last year, and he did a great job. So I think he deserves to be fullback.
Regardless, I just think their 1-7 is super strong.
100%.
And their forward pack, in my opinion, is a top 3 forward pack. It's just stacked.
And
everywhere.
their bench is good too, because they have such depth, and that's why I'm very, very bullish on them. I think there's going to be a couple of teams that made the 8 last year that will drop out of the 8 this year. And I think one of the teams to replace them will be the Dolphins. As I say, especially because I think Kristian Woolf is a good coach. Like last year, as you said, they started off very slow. They were 0-4. But instead of buckling and sort of falling away, they actually made a good comeback where, like, throughout that middle of the year, right, they were absolutely blowing teams away. But I remember that Cowboys game where it wasn't even a domination. It was like a trial run where they were just able to score at will, even against the Dogs when they beat us down here. The last 20 minutes, they blew us away.
Yeah, that was rough.
Yeah, they've got the attack like you would not believe. All they need to do now is string it together throughout the whole season, right?
That's my only concern with the Dolphins. If they don't come out of the blocks firing and they do the same thing they've done in previous years where they go 0-4 or 1-4, 1-5, like some just stringing losses together at the start, make it hard for themselves in the back half of the year. I've still got them in my 8 as well. I just don't know if they could string it together for a whole season. Like Isaiya Katoa, probably the best halfback in the comp. Maybe saying it a bit prematurely, but...
I don't think he's the best halfback in the competition, but I do think that he has the potential to be up there as one of the best. Like,
I think he's right up there.
Oh, look, I think he is. He's still learning. He's only 21. He's learning his craft, and I think he has a lot to learn. But already the way he kicks, the way he controls the game, the way he sort of digs into the line, it's like a lot of halfbacks still, 5, 6, 7 years into their career, they're still struggling to do the things that Katoa can do. Looking at their draw, so they round 1 they face the Rabbitohs up at Suncorp, then they face the Titans up at Suncorp, then they face the Sharks at Ocean Protect Stadium. Where the heck is that? Anyway, then they face the Broncos up in Suncorp, which I think will be a cracking game. Then they've got the Sea Eagles at KO Stadium. Then they've got the Panthers, or they've got by round 6. Round 7, they have the Panthers at TIA Stadium in Darwin. Then they've got the Warriors in Wellington, and then the Storm in Brisbane, and then the Dogs up in Brisbane. So their first 10 rounds are all in Brisbane, with the exception of the one game. Is that in Cronulla?
Yeah.
So they've got, in the first 10 rounds...
They do travel to Wollongong.
Not in the first 10 rounds.
Wellington, sorry.
Yeah, Wellington and Cronulla, 2 out of the 10. So 7 of their first 10 games played in Brisbane, which is, I think, very good. And they're not playing the best teams in the competition either. So there's a chance for them to really make a mark. And I've got the round 4 game against the Broncos as a game that they're going to make their mark. And I think they're going to really announce themselves for 2026 against the Broncos. I think that'll be the game to watch out for in that round.
I think by the time we get to Magic Round, they definitely need to be, I'd say, 7 out of 10 wins.
7 wins out of 10?
Yeah.
I think if they're 5 out of 10, so they're lost
tracking
4.
in the right direction then.
Yeah, they're in the right direction.
As long as they're not stringing the losses together, that's what I don't like
100%.
seeing in teams.
Yeah.
Like going back to back in losses. If they lose one, win a couple, lose one, there's they'll learn from it and continue to improve. But training losses together is never good to see in the team.
Especially when they're blowout losses or really like
100%,
dumb losses.
yeah.
I think that's what you want to avoid seeing. All right, so breakout or standout players. They've got a lot of great players on their cards. Who do you think is going to stand out for them this year?
I'm just going to take the obvious. I think Flegler is going to stand out for him. Like, he's been out of the game for the last 2 years. I think he's going to announce himself this year that he hasn't skipped a beat. I think he's looking to prove himself this year, and I think he's going to absolutely dominate.
I'm going to go not left field, but a bit different. I'm actually going to say Max Plath.
I thought you were going to say Cobbo. Cobbo was my second guess.
I think Max Plath, his injuries crawled him a little bit, but before he got injured, he was playing out of his skin. And I'm going to make another bold statement.
What are you going to say?
I reckon he debuts for Queensland this year.
Max Plath?
Yeah.
It wouldn't surprise me.
They were already talking
stuff.
about it in 2024 before he got injured and stuff. They were saying he's Origin ready and stuff like
How
that.
about Flegler? Where's his loyalty lie?
He's Queenslander.
Yeah, so I think he'll be in.
I think they need him in.
Yeah.
But Gilbert as well, Tom Gilbert, I think he'll definitely play for Queensland. But yeah, I just think out of the ones that are a bit younger, I reckon Max Plath is going to show us his value, especially because Jeremy Marshall-King injured himself and he's out, I think, for the first 6 to 8 rounds or something like that. So I reckon
Is he out again for the 6?
I think so, yeah. Which is, it's a shame because I actually think he took his game to another level up there.
Every time he's played, there's something always happening around him.
Bro, it's
every
nuts.
single time.
It's nuts. I love it.
I still remember him at the Dogs. It hurts a bit, but I like to see him do well.
Yeah, I do too.
That's unfortunate that he's injured. I didn't actually pick up on that.
Yeah, he injured himself again, and
because last year he had a horrible injury run. I think he only ended up playing like maybe 20% of his games.
Yeah, he didn't play very many, and so that's that's why I think I'm very bullish on them. They have a lot of depth across the park. What's a pass mark, you reckon? And realistically, where do you think they'll end up?
Pass mark is the 8 for me. Realistically, I think they're in that 7th or 8th spot. I don't think they've got what it takes just yet to go for 27 rounds. I've seen a lot of commentary placing them in the 4. I still I'm not that high on them yet, but I think they debut in the finals and they are going to be a hard team to face in week 1. Like, if they come into the 8th spot, the last thing you want to do is finish 5th. Because I reckon they can knock out 5th and go into week 2.
Yeah,
that would be a pass mark for me. That's the bare minimum I'd like to see from the Dolphins, especially with this roster. Like, when we're reading out those names and we're saying top 3 forward pack, that back line, I'd say top 5. Like, you got some all-star players in that back line. You don't want to see them missing the 8. I think missing the 8 is actual failure.
The other thing I think is that this is their second year under Kristian Woolf. So last year they had injuries, plus first year under Kristian Woolf where he's trying to make his mark on the team. I get it, even though I think they played very well in a lot of games. I think this year they'll work on their defense because I think that's where they had issues, especially because it's Kristian Woolf's second year. He would have had more time to leave his mark on the team, to be able to develop the team. So I actually think a pass mark for them is, I'm going to say a strong position in the 8. I'm not a flimsy, can we, can't we? No, it's a strong, definitely in the 8. I want to see them in the 8, like in discussions of being in the 8, sort of a majority of the year. I don't want to see them just make it. I think that'll be a failure for me because that's just going to be a little improvement on last year and the year before. Do you get me? So I think they need to really stamp their mark, be sort of cementing themselves in the 8. The other thing or realistically where I think they'll finish, I have them coming 6th. I think they're going to entrench themselves in the 8. They're just too good of a team. And I think Kristian Woolf, I rate him as a coach. It just comes together as a package. And the other thing is they seem to have a chemistry, right? If it was just like a shaky thing, I would be with you. But I think they have a chemistry. And so if they don't make the 8, I think that's a substantial failure on the Dolphins' part.
Would you say they're the funnest team in the comp to watch?
I mean, after the Bulldogs.
Like, obviously, we've got our team, but like outside, like when the Dogs aren't playing, if the Dolphins game is on, I make time to watch it.
Yeah, 100%.
Like,
they're very entertaining.
They're a really good team to watch.
Like, you look at Herbie Farnworth, and he's, I think, the only centre in the game that can challenge Crichton for his mantle as the best centre in the game.
I thought he was going to be a 6.
Who said he's going to be a 6 again?
So we've got a friend that thinks he's going to be 5'8".
And he said, mark my words. And he even pinned the comment in WhatsApp.
So we've got that pinned in our group chat. We're just waiting for Kristian Woolf to make the call. So
come on, Wolfie.
If anyone has any contacts with Kristian Woolf, let us know.
And with that, we have come to the end of the preview for the Dolphins NRL 2026 season. If you are new, as I said, please be sure to subscribe. If you hated the content, I think you should subscribe anyway, just so that you can flame us. We appreciate you for making it into the deep end. We've got so much content coming on. Be sure to click on the playlist to see all the other preview games. And we will definitely see you in the next one. Thank you.